Hello and welcome to your full moon forecast for the full moon in Sagittarius on June 11th. I am Cawnawyn Mor, your astrologer, and today we're going to take a look at the chart. I'm going to hopefully teach you a little bit about how I go about reading a chart, so if you're new to astrology, you can start learning how to read the natal chart. And also we'll talk a little bit about the energetic forecast of the full moon. So let's dive right in. All right, here we have our full moon in Sagittarius chart. As just a quick reminder, I always use a 0 degrees Aries rising. We're just looking at planetary positions and their aspects. You can apply this chart. This is at 12:44 a.m. in Pacific time, Seattle, Washington. But you can change the time to fit your time zone wherever you are, and then the planet should show up in the same spot. But you can see how it's going to affect your community if you're looking at a chart based on your geographical region. You can also take a look at this in relation to your own natal chart and see it on the outside as a bi-wheel, and then that'll give you an idea of where this 20 degrees Sagittarius moon is in your chart. Here is our full moon at 20 degrees 39 minutes of Sagittarius, opposing our sun at 20 degrees 39 minutes of Gemini. A little bit about this axis, right? When I think about this axis, I think about that pursuit of knowledge and gathering of data, gathering of voices and ideas, and Sagittarius is kind of, and then what do we do when we tell the story about it? Sagittarius and Gemini in their opposing energy. Gemini, being ruled by Mercury, is very minute. It's more concerned with every little detail. It can see all the data, all the numbers in the spreadsheet, right? And it can take into account all the things. So what can tend to happen with Gemini is it's so concerned with collecting all the different pieces that there's an indecision because it knows all the pieces. Whereas Sagittarius is very much broad-minded. It's ruled by Jupiter, the largest planet orbiting the sun. So it's really more concerned with big picture. It's about the story. How does it feel? The fire inside Sagittarius is about how do we evoke this excitement and passion and drive in what the data is telling us. But what can happen, of course, is Sagittarius gets a little exaggerative. It wants to expand the story and make it even more exciting than maybe it actually factually was, blow things out of proportion, and it can also just decide to ignore the details because they're not exciting. So when we have an opposition like this, how this might be playing out is you have one side of things that's very concerned with, well, these are the different elements of what we're dealing with right now. These are the facts. This is what everybody else is saying. This is how, these are our different options. And Sagittarius, the moon in Sag, the heart is saying, well, I don't need to deal with all of that. I would rather go pursue the dream, to go do the thing, go tell the story, go adventure and explore somewhere different and say, yeah, that's all nice, but I'm not as concerned with that. So do you see the oppositional energy here? They're kind of concerned in a similar way with what is the truth, right? Gemini gathers truth by gathering all of the pieces together and trying to formulate what the scope of truth is based on a polarity more often than not. It says, well, some people think this and some people think that, and here's the binary basically existing within all of the data, and the truth lies somewhere in there. That's why Geminis are typically very open-minded or objective when it comes to different sides, because they're taking into account all sides, kind of similar to Libra. But Gemini is more concerned with gathering all the information, not as much with judging the information, because Gemini can have a hard time deciding, just like Libra, because they're trying to weigh all of the different data endpoints, right? Meanwhile, we have Sagittarius, we have that moon in Sag, and it's also very much concerned with the truth. Now, sometimes this truth is a truth of feeling. Sometimes this truth is, this was my experience, and therefore I know it to be true because I experienced it. It's a little bit more self-guided and less about taking into account all the pieces, because it's really informed. Usually, Sagittarius energy seeks knowledge, seeks deeper meaning and expansion of the mind and of the soul and of the body, right? Once it formulates those opinions, it can be very staunch in its beliefs and almost dogmatic about that. Sagittarius can often rule over, of course, the explorer, the adventurer, the philosopher, the great teacher, professor, and it can also rule over the religious leader, even the cult leader. Are you looking in your own life at this opposition as perhaps, are you stuck between wanting to pursue something but needing to gather more data? Are you in a point of indecision because you don't know which way is going to serve you best? Or are you seeing this playing out in your own life right now, where maybe there's somebody coming in with very strong opinions and strong experience and a lot of knowledge, but you're saying, except I'm not quite sure that that is the right method, or maybe they're not taking everything into account. You see kind of between the lines here, very Gemini, to sort of be able to see all sides of the puzzle. Or are you coming perhaps from the moon's position and you're like, would you get your head out of the freaking data here? Can we move on to something a little bit more actually passionate, and you're coming across too cold and too computer-like, and I feel things, I want to go do things, and I'm tired of sitting around talking about it. That can often be a hard part about this opposition, because Gemini really needs to chat, needs to talk, needs to speak out what it's feeling, thinking, going through, processing. I mean, it's literally outwardly processing, and Sagittarius gets bored very quickly. So are you seeing this playing out in your own relationships in your life? I'd be so curious if it is, or if it's having that sort of tug of war inside of you. Now that's just the opposition between the sun and the moon, which of course, I think I've said this every single time, but a full moon is an opposition. Our place on Earth is somewhere right in the middle here, and we are seeing the sun on one side and the moon on the other side. That's why the moon is fully illuminated by the sun. So whenever we have an opposition happening, this tends to show up in our relationships. It's also an illumination of some kind of a truth. So maybe you're not feeling this tug of war inside of you, but there may be something either in this same vein or something regarding knowledge, expansion, truth, right? What is real truth? Where are the facts maybe being hidden away or over exaggerated to fit a narrative? Is that happening somewhere in your life? Are you doing that to yourself? Are you seeing it play out on a world stage? And does this illumination of new knowledge bring better awareness, better clarity, or more confusion? So our ruler of the moon is Jupiter, which I mentioned earlier, and Jupiter sitting here in Cancer, just newly entered Cancer, 0 degrees and 19 minutes. It literally entered June 9th, right? It's in its exaltation in Cancer. It's really, really happy in Cancer because it can spread out, it can be safe, it can explore, and it's also trying to meet other people's needs, care for, nurture, and expand other people. Meanwhile, the sun's ruler of Mercury is right here next to Jupiter in Cancer. So we have a very Cancerian, also ruled by the moon. Here's where it gets, this is all the fun infinity loop of astrology. We have the sun's ruler of this full moon and the moon's ruler of this full moon, both sitting together in Cancer. And when we look at Cancer, Cancer is ruled by the moon. So this moon is kind of in an infinity loop back and forth with these two rulers together. Now what this kind of suggests to me is because our rulers are sitting together in the same sign, maybe it's a mutual agreement, maybe it's just a friendlier or just more nurturing, kind, soft-hearted approach to all of this, where it's coming in with softness. It's not necessarily this hard fight against each other, but what that can look like is, you know, what do I do? It can look like an indecision because there's no hard line one way or the other. This may not always be the case. Of course, Cancer energy is known for its shell, its claws, right? And so the emotional magnitude of this full moon might feel really overwhelming because we have Jupiter here, and it might feel overwhelming because Mercury, it's got the anxiety about all the different details and components. So if you are feeling that sense of overwhelm, emotional, like overcapacity right now, totally makes sense. Please take some time for yourself to just like walk away, find some inner sanctuary, find some inner Cancerian peace here, and nurture your emotions. Give them space to play out, give them space to express, and then try to tackle things with this idea of the clarity of the objective nature, especially of the Gemini. We can all take a cue from that Gemini energy and step back and say, okay, well, what are the facts here? What are the components? And then what is it I'm actually meant to control? And what is it I need to let go of? What story am I telling myself? Where do I actually feel drawn to? Where do I actually feel passionate toward? Because the other data, I can kind of say, okay, that's no longer applicable for me. This is what I'm going to focus on. But that laser focus, that ability to clear out the excess, needs to come after we give the emotions time to process, time to be what they are without judgment, just with nurturing and softness and love. That is that Cancerian energy. So it's kind of this interesting push and pull between really, really big picture and really, really minor picture. So if you're feeling that inside of you, try to just say, I'm going to put that over here. I'm gonna just let my emotions have their space, express what I need to express, maybe tell a friend, talk, right? Take a cue from the Gemini, write it out, or take a cue from the moon in Sagittarius and move your body. Go do something, go see something, go express yourself in a new environment that feels like an adventure. Even if that's going to a store you've never gone through before, or going and having coffee at a new dock that you've never been and see the water in the boats or something. You know, it could be very, very simple, but get yourself in a new environment to sort of cleanse, have the space to just be yourself, express yourself in a new way, and then focus on all of the details. Try to give yourself a little bit of a mental cleanse, of a palate cleanser, right? To all the busyness and craziness of life. So I will say right now, we're having this big, mutable, grand square. You see this giant square in the chart with the nodes. Very interesting. Our nodes, here's our south node in Virgo and our north node in Pisces. This moon and sun are coming into an exact square with the nodes, and everything is in a mutable sign, right? All these signs, so Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces are all mutable. So there is a changeability with this full moon. And truly what I mean by that is the mutable signs are always at the end of a season. They mark a transition. We're in a liminal space here. So this can act as having to make some decisions to change up our current situation, or recognizing that there has to be a change. So we know whatever decisions we're making are kind of fated and that we're going to head toward a new direction at this point. So if you're feeling that pressure, I don't want it to like suppress all of the feeling that you're going through, right? It's not to make it more stressful, more pressuring. But I do think that, you know, if you're facing a hard decision or a tough turning point, or you have an illumination of some knowledge that kind of changes you forevermore, recognize that you're in this liminal space, this space of change and transition. Once again, allow the emotions to be what they are, to express themselves openly in a safe space where you can feel nurtured, even if that means just nurturing or validating yourself. Recognize that this is meant to push you, change you in a new direction. Squares are not bad, but they are activating. Square energy is very much like Mars energy. It prods you up, it gets you off the couch, it makes you move. So move. If anything else, channel some of that emotion through movement is something I think is really coming out very strong with this. And allow yourself to bend like a reed. Be flexible. Don't stay fixed or planted or stubborn in something that you know maybe has to change eventually, because you're just putting it off at that point. And then the anxiety mounts, right? You're still thinking and stressing about, well, when that has to change, what's going to change, right? How can you tackle some of that data now and make some adjustments, right? It doesn't have to be a full changing of course. It can be just some minor adjustments to work with whatever is coming your way. And that's kind of the only real strong aspect they're making. Now, the moon is making a trine over here to Chiron, which is nice. It'll move into that trine. And it's also making a trine to Mars, which Mars and Chiron are all in this grand fire trine. How beautiful. So when we have Mars and we have Chiron working together, this is just re-emphasizing that movement I was talking about. Mars movement for the sake of Chiron healing. So how can moving, taking action, taking decisive, bold action help you in this way? Maybe you've been stuck in a point of too much data overload and indecision, and this full moon is that catalyst that finally says, no, it's time to act. So take some action. Just moving things in a different direction, deciding to change might be that key to unlocking. Okay, I've committed to this decision. And hey, if you take a few steps into it and you say, nope, this doesn't feel right in my gut, this doesn't feel right in my soul, I'm going to now change this way. Give yourself permission for whatever it is that might be plaguing you right now, because you have this opportunity for some really divine healing. You know, this is at 12:44 a.m. in the morning, East Coast time, of course, 3:44. That leaves the entire rest of the day as this moon is going to transit through Sagittarius to come into alignment with this Mars and Chiron. Mars taking that bold, decisive action in Leo, around creativity, around bringing vitality to yourself, life to yourself. Breathe sunshine back into your energy and your space, and do so for the pursuit of healing. Take a close look at those wounds and say, this is what's getting in my way. These are my blocks. I choose to heal it now in this way. Oh, wow. I felt like every time we just pulled another thread, this moon got even more profound and powerful and exciting. And I'm so mostly excited by this Jupiter having entered Cancer here, really fueling this full moon. I think it's going to be a big one, an emotional one. So please be kind and gentle to yourself and recognize that we're all meant to process these emotions, that they're meant to express themselves, especially with a Gemini sun right now. Like, write it down, sing it, speak it, chant it, however you want to process through that. Allow the process to occur. Yeah, I hope this moon serves you very well as you go forward. Please be sure that you check out my zodiacal forecast every month on Bonfire Babble so you can learn more about these transits as they're coming and you can plan ahead. I also talk about days that I think are particularly magical. So if you are performing and casting spells, please be sure to check that out so you know which days astrologically you can utilize for the best results. Of course, you can always book a reading with me. Right now, in this very moment, I have my recorded readings closed for just another week, but they will open up on June 20th. And you can, of course, also book a Zoom one-on-one reading with me if you're looking for something more in-depth. But I'd be happy to help you over there one-on-one if you're interested in a deeper look at your astrology. Thank you to my Blue Hour subscribers. With this full moon in Sagittarius, you are going to receive your new spell bundle that I am doing for all of my full moons. So it is free to subscribe to my email newsletter. You just go to cawnawynmor.com/Blue Hour and you can sign up and you will get all the perks of being a subscriber over there, where you will get this video and all of the extra material in your inbox every month, as well as lots more for the new moon, for the sun ingresses, and more. Thank you so much for tuning in every month with me for your full moon forecast. I hope you're learning astrology. I hope you're enjoying the ride, and may you have a blessed full moon in Sagittarius, as well as a blessed year ahead with Jupiter exalted in Cancer. Blessed be.